Hey there, how's it going, everybody? So today, is a little bit different of video than what you're used to seeing on my channel. If you're not new, starting out on that exercise bike. This is how I used to start my leg days, and this is how I'm going to keep doing my leg days. That's what they had me doing at physical therapy. I guess all 3 times I've had physical therapy over the course of the past 10 years for various injuries. I've had my right foot has been completely shattered in 2017 in a car wreck. That caused a traumatic brain injury and a bunch of other things. It's a very long story, but a year later, I had my left knee had an ACL rupture. They believe it originally ruptured in the car accident, and because I had so much other things going on, they didn't discover it until it finally blew out the rest of the way, and had to have surgical fixation on that. And then everything's been good with that leg until last November, around mid-November last year. I was doing some kickboxing and I was hitting the heavy bag, and I'd done round kicks, like a Muay Thai kick. I had done probably thousands, if not 10,000 times or more since knee surgery in 2018, and everything had been great. But as the saying goes, there's the straw that breaks the camel's back, and I think that day in mid-November, that was a straw that broke the camel's back. Something just didn't go good, and I felt a sharp pain shoot through my knee. I thought I had maybe pulled a muscle or something, but unfortunately, the detail I forgot to add is when I had the ACL surgery in 2018, I also had the medial meniscus torn as well. And that's like a little lubricating disc that sits between the bones in your leg to help the joint glide smoothly, so that's not bone on bone. And I had that torn as well. And for people that are not a medical person like myself, the ACL it's this piece of connective tissue that holds your knee together. Um, anyways, back to where I was at. Here recently in mid-November last year, I felt that sharp pain, and unfortunately it wasn't a muscle pull or muscle strain. It was a re-tear of the meniscus. So they had to go in and they just removed the torn pieces this time instead of trying to fix it back. And I've had physical therapy for quite a while since then. And but this is my first true leg day since mid-November. Long story short, you're seeing me doing those broad jumps. I used to be able to jump one of these entire boxes. If you can see the lines there on the concrete, I could jump from one side of the pad to the other. Probably be a while before I do that again. Here you see me doing some high jumps, kind of using the mirror on my car there to kind of keep track of how high I'm jumping. I decided to turn up the heat a little bit on that one, jump a little bit higher. It's the first time doing broad jumps and high jumps. Saying an extra prayer there because originally in 2018, when my ACL blew out, it was during a pistol squat. So I probably have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Because I never will forget that day. I had stretched out, I had warmed up, everything was going great, just like I had always done, but I didn't know that I had a ruptured ACL from the car accident, and unfortunately stuff like that cannot heal properly on its own. So when I went down on the third rep that day, my left knee kind of flipped out to the side, and it sounded like a gunshot, and it was when my ACL had finished tearing. So definitely some PTSD from that. So, I always say extra prayer on leg day. But here's something they had me doing at physical therapy. This is what they call a mini pistol squat. It's just where I'm kind of squatting down to about 45 degrees of flexion. And I'm not trying to squat all the way. In that previous clip where you saw me saying the extra prayer, I was trying to use assistance to get down further into the movement. Something that you'll probably never see me doing, regardless of how strong I am, how recovered I am. I do not squat past 90 degrees. On a more realistic note, I probably sometimes get around 100 to 110 degrees because I'm not paying attention. But I am not one of those people that squats super deep, and I don't think you should either. I'm sure there'll be plenty of people that disagree with that. But I disagree because I have a medical perspective, and I've talked with many professionals, many medical professionals that have a lot more knowledge than I do myself. And anytime that you bend the knee past 90 degrees, it really puts a lot of pressure on your menisci. That thing I had torn in my knee. It puts a lot of extra pressure and leverage on all your connective tissues. And it's not really going to get you a lot of extra gains from a squat, for example, like you see me doing here. This is a working set, just for the record. We're into the working sets now. I'm really focusing on that slow descent, just a little bit of an explode up, but just in general for today, where this is the first leg day and in so long, and given the context, I'm taking things pretty easy. I'm taking baby steps. Like I've said before, you're not going to see me breaking any PRs on these leg days, probably for quite a while. So for the people that are more beginner level to calisthenics, these leg day videos are going to be, probably pretty helpful for you guys, because this is probably about where you guys are. It's going to be quite a bit different from, say, like a pull day, core day, or push day, or a skill day, because thankfully, I haven't had any injuries in those areas, to take me down a few levels, like I have with my legs. But anyways, all your movements in calisthenics, regardless of what you're doing with your legs, your upper body, anytime you do a movement, the movement should be smooth. You shouldn't feel any kind of catching, clicking, any kind of popping. Every now and then, if you hear a little pop or something, and you didn't really feel like any pressure release or anything like that, that's perfectly normal. That happens occasionally. But if you're hearing frequent pops and you're feeling things kind of feel like something rolls around or clicks or moves around in the joint as you do the exercise, either you're doing something wrong or you have some sort of injury, and you definitely need to kind of reevaluate yourself and what's going on, because your joints are meant to move smoothly. That's the whole point, whole purpose behind our joints. And that's also why I started the video out on the cycle, the exercise bike. That's weightless resistance, so to say, taking my knees through the full range of motion. And that really helps build up synovial fluid in the joint, which in common terms is just a lubricating fluid that helps lubricate the joint in the knee, and I'm sure the ankles as well. And just to help them move a little smoother. You think about your car, how it has oil in it to help the engine work smoothly. Your body is very similar in some aspects with how our joints work. Here I'm doing Bosu hamstring curls. I love the Bosu. I use this on just about every workout day. It doesn't matter what body part I'm working, what muscle group I'm working. I typically use the Bosu in some aspect. maybe not pull day, but on pull day I have rings, which do something very similar. The whole purpose behind the BOSU is to add a stabilization factor to whatever exercise that you're doing on it. It's one thing to do something on flat ground or on a solid bar or whatever, but when your body has to think about stabilizing the movement, that will work muscles that you didn't even know you had. So I think in one of my very first videos I talked about the things you should buy for yourself if you plan on training calisthenics. You should get yourself some gymnastics rings. You should get yourself a BOSU, a jump rope. I think I might have mentioned a weight vest, some resistance bands, which you can use to either help you with movements or to make movements more difficult. And then, of course, you need somewhere you can work out, whether that be a public gym, a park, or throwing your rings over a tree limb. You can be very creative. You do not have to have a lot of money. You do not have to have access to all these big fancy gyms and all this fancy equipment to get strong. As a matter of fact, I would argue, depending on what your definition of strength is, that you can get a lot stronger with very, very little equipment, if you know what to do and you're doing it right. But I quickly realized when I started doing these hamstring curls, so to say, or bridging up, I quickly noticed that it was very easy, thankfully, but I'm still trying to take it easy. I'm taking baby steps. But what I did to kind of make things more challenging is when I bridge up, I'm really trying to use my hamstrings to almost pull the BOSU. I'm trying to pull the BOSU towards my butt. And on this second set here especially, I really started to feel that towards the end of the set. I could really feel that in my hamstrings, and you'll see here in just a sec the results. I was definitely starting to feel some muscle fatigue, which is the goal of a working set. So I'm happy I made that change. Yeah, happy I made that change. I could definitely feel that in the hamstrings. If you're at home, please don't misinterpret what I said about the BOSU. You do not have to have a BOSU to start calisthenics. It is just something I recommend that you invest a little money in. I think I might have gave $200 to $300 US for that one. It's not the basic one. I think it was called like a heavy duty one or something. But it will definitely pay for itself over time. I've had that for several years and I've used it for so many things. But here I'm doing some calf raises. Really focusing on, it's kind of hard to see in this video, just given the camera angle, but I'm really trying to focus that explode up and slow down, like I've talked about a lot. I'm trying, like you see my hands there on the parallel bars. You can't see in this clip, but I only have about 1 to 2 fingers per hand on top. Like I'm just touching the top of the parallel bars. I'm not trying to hold on to the bars to stabilize myself. And again, that's adding stabilization. It's adding a stabilization factor to the movement. The knee and all the other tissues and muscles and et cetera in my leg that I'm doing the calf raises on, that's making it stabilize more of the movement. And that'll really, it's kind of like taking the training wheels off. If this exercise is too difficult for you, maybe hang on tighter. You can see there I only have one arm on, but if the exercise is too difficult, you can hang on to something to really help stabilize the movement. And then as you get stronger over time, you can hang on less and less, and that will ask a lot more out of the stabilizers in the respective leg. Switching things up. I'm also on that opposite leg. My shoes were wet. It was kind of damp outside today, and it was kind of hard for me to prevent my shoe from sliding while I was doing this exercise. So I'm not sure if I'll keep doing calf raises on this low bar like you see here, or if I'll try to do them somewhere different. But I did have to keep readjusting. I was afraid my shoe was going to slide off the bar, and what I was going to say is, you see how there with the opposite leg, I'm kind of using the top of my foot to pinch the bar almost, just to help me keep from losing my footing. But it was, you got to make do with what you got. It was kind of a wet day, and I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to fall, or if I did fall, I wasn't going to fall bad. But anyway, let's see. I think that was the end of the workout, so to say, but not fully yet. We're still stretching out. I figured I would hang upside down. I really love this, just to really decompress things, really help your posture. It just feels good to hang. It really takes that weight off your spine. And now I'm kind of stretching out, shaking things out, getting a couple emails there. But trying to loosen up, trying to kind of see how things are feeling. Where this is my first leg day in so long, and not had the best of circumstances. But thankfully, I took it slow. Like I said, wasn't trying to break any PRs today. I'm trying to maintain the ability to walk and the ability to live. Not trying to break records. Just kind of slowly trying to get back to my regular activities. But if you're someone that's new to working out, someone that's new to training, a lot of the stuff that you'll see me doing, especially on leg day, maybe not so much the other days, but on leg day, I feel like is very applicable to those that are just starting out. But even if you use your imagination, though, on the days where I do a lot more advanced things, like push-pull, core, or skill day, if you use your imagination in calisthenics, you can make something easier or more difficult, just by thinking about leverage, how to make things, have less leverage, how to make things easier. That's what I've always loved about calisthenics. It uses so much of your brain. You're not just adjusting a machine or increasing or decreasing the weight. Another thing is, I'm trimming up, or I'm trying to. Feeling good. If you guys have anything, take care.